All right. Hello everyone. Hello students. So welcome to another class on carbohydrates. Till last class we had seen the structure of glucose in details, the two anomeric ring forms, went past the phenomena like motor rotation, and in this class, this video, we'll even take up the structure of disaccharides. In the process, we'll learn amazing facts about the reducing, non-reducing behavior of sugars. Now let's begin with the open chain linear form of carbohydrates, where certainly you had a CHO, 5 OH groups, 4 attached to chiral carbon, and this needs to be understood, this needs to be recalled, every time this needs to be recalled. Carbon 2 OH to the right, the same for carbon 4 and carbon 5, at carbon 3 you will have OH to the left, C6H12, this form of glucose is the blood sugar, and then using the OH at carbon 5 and the CHO, we made a ring by intramolecular hemiacetal formation. Now naturally, using carbon 5, OH and CHO, it was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 membered ring, and the two rings possible were of this kind. Either you had this OH down, you had this OH down, this was the anomeric carbon. Because at carbon 1, you know, you'll have two different configurations, carbon 2 and carbon 4. Carbon 2 and carbon 4 will have similar configurations. We did some twisting, and you know, this is what we learned, that carbon 5 and carbon 6 CH2OH, this was the benchmark. When this OH is anti to, when this OH is anti to the CH2OH, the rest positions are obviously hydrogen, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this was the benchmark. If the CH2OH and OH are anti, we called it the alpha form, alpha glucopyranose, and the other epimer, the other anomer was when this OH is up. When this OH is up, the rest remaining the same, This time at carbon 5, this CH2OH up, this CH2OH up, and this OH also up, which means the two were same, and this was called the beta form. We know now the beta form is more stable. This was almost 64%, this was almost 36%. We learned the phenomena of mutar rotation. They were called anomers because they differed only at one carbon, which is carbon 1. And naturally they were 6-membered rings, so the name pyranose. We called them anomers. They were two cyclic forms of the same compound. Now the simplest disaccharide we'll want to begin with is the very popular sucrose, cane sugar, the common sugar. And we all know sucrose on hydrolysis gives 1 mole of D plus glucose, and 1 mole of D minus fructose. Every time I tell you D minus is such a big proof that this capital D has nothing to do with the optical behavior of the molecule. It could be capital D as well as levorotatory. Now glucose is plus 52.7 degree, fructose is levo minus 92.4 degree, and because the levorotatory nature of fructose is more than the dextrorotatory nature of glucose, an equimolar mixture of the two, and the net optical behavior will be levo. I repeat, because 1 mole of sucrose, disaccharide C12H22O11 will give 1 mole of C6H12O6, another mole of C6H12O6, both are monosaccharides with the same formulae. This is an aldohexose, this is the ketohexose. But what's important is this is dextrorotatory by plus 52.7 and this is levorotatory by minus 92.4. Now naturally, because this is more levorotatory than the dextrorotatory nature of glucose, 1 mole of both or equimolar amount of both, this solution will be levorotatory. Sucrose is dextrorotatory to begin with. Sucrose naturally is dextrorotatory, and on hydrolysis the mixture is levorotatory. That is why this process is very popularly called inversion of sugar. That is why you call it inversion of sugar. Even the enzyme is called invertase. We'll take up the chemical nature of the enzyme. We'll learn the structure of sucrose in the long run. But before everything, if sucrose gives me glucose and fructose, we want to see the structure of fructose as well. Although we had seen the structure of fructose in the previous lectures, which was the open chain, now we'll want to see the ring form of fructose. Because like glucose, fructose is a monosaccharide will also exist in two anomeric ring forms. There will be a small difference, we'll see right away. You will want to copy this at your convenience. You will want to copy this at your convenience. And naturally, after the ring form of glucose, we will want to see the ring form of fructose. We'll naturally want to begin with the open chain form first. We'll want to begin with the open chain form first. In the open chain form, like glucose, even fructose, although it is a ketonic group, will have its configuration at carbon 3, 4 and 5 identical to, at carbon 3, 4 and 5, at carbon 3, 4 and 5, the configuration is identical to that of glucose. At 3, 4, 5, the configuration is identical to that of glucose. It's ketonic at carbon 2, it's ketonic at carbon 2. And yet again, if I use carbon 5 OH, for a hemiketal formation, previously it was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 membered ring. Now because it's happening at carbon 2, it will be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 membered ring. It will be a 5 membered ring. So the anomeric ring form of fructose will be 5 membered rings, and it will be anomeric at carbon 2. Like a new chiral carbon, and you can have OH down or above. Here again at carbon 2, OH could be in two different configurations. Those will be the two anomers. But to begin with, it will be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 membered ring. Everything else remaining the same. I give you a particular approach to draw these structures for glucose, believing it's the same approach in fructose, 5 membered rings, and this is how you will want to draw the two 5 membered rings. The only difference, I repeat, will be this time carbon 2 will be anomeric, carbon 3 up. So this will be carbon 3 up, carbon 4 down. I'm talking about OH, and carbon 5, this CH2OH, this carbon 5 CH2OH, which is carbon 6, will again be the benchmark. This time at carbon 2, if this OH is below, the only difference again would be you will have carbon 1 as CH2OH, you had hydrogen here. So at carbon 2 it's anomeric. This time again, if these two are anti, you will call it the alpha form, and you call it alpha fructofuranose. Now furanose because it's a 5 membered ring. Alpha because these two are anti. And naturally, its epimer would be the one where this OH is above. And syn to the CH2OH. This is again the benchmark when these two are syn. Carbon 3 OH above, carbon 4 OH below, like you do for carbon 3 and carbon 4 in glucose. And at carbon 2, anomeric carbon, this is carbon 1 CH2OH. I hope it's all there in the frame. At carbon 2, these two will differ. Naturally, when the two are anti, you will call it alpha form. And when the two are syn, this above, this also above, you will call it the beta form. It's beta fructofuranose. Now, like glucose, fructose will also exist primarily. Most of the molecules will exist in the ring form. And like glucose, although it's anomeric carbon 2, and that is why the ring is 5 membered, it's also going to be in alpha and beta forms, which are anomeric to each other. Anomers, differ in the Haworth projection, only at one carbon. Now we need to know about the structure of both glucose and fructose before we can make more headway into the structure of sucrose. Now this is a 6 membered ring, this is a 5 membered ring. It could be proved by an X-ray analysis. There are more technologies these days to prove the 6 membered and 5 membered nature of these rings. We need to know that this is a 6 membered ring and this is a stable 5 membered ring. There used to be a very popular chemical method. To prove the size of these rings. I'm going to talk about it very, very shortly. And in that process, we convert them to their pentamethyl derivatives. Suppose I'll talk about glucose. And the same will be applicable to fructose. So what we do for a sugar like glucose, we convert it to their pentamethyl derivatives. And please hear me out, the hydrolysis of their pentamethyl derivatives would reveal the size of the ring. Keep this term in mind, hydrolysis of pentamethyl derivative. It's going to be very clear in a little while. Now whether it's alpha or beta doesn't matter. Whether it's alpha or beta doesn't matter, because that is where the glycosidic bond will be formed. That is where the glycosidic bond will be formed. What we do is, and we had done it in the past, when we treat it with CF3OH, I told you this carbon 1 OH, will be getting methylated. Hemiacetal will become acetal. Carbon 1 OH is preferred because the positive here, was getting stabilized by the lone pair. We went past all of that in the last video. So this with 1 mole of CH3OH, hemiacetal will become a acetal, which is called a glucosidic bond. And this is how it will look. This is how it will look. This is how it will look. Curvilinear means doesn't matter whether it's alpha or beta. Carbon 2 OH down, carbon 3 OH up, carbon 4 OH down, carbon 5, this CH2 OH up. And I told you this could be up or down, alpha or beta, doesn't matter. Curvilinear exactly means the same. I'm just avoiding writing hydrogen every time. Now this is methyl glucoside. This is methyl glucoside. This is methyl glucoside. Methyl glucoside, which is an acetal. It's an acetal. I told you hemiacetal, OHOR, acetal, OROR. Methyl glucoside is subjected to exhaustive methylation. This is subjected to exhaustive methylation. You can take a base, and an excess of CH3X, any halide, or you can take dimethyl sulfate. You can take dimethyl sulfate. Dimethyl sulfate, will also be a very good leaving group like halide, and all the OH will be methylated. All the OH will be methylated. Realize acetal was already methylated. Acetal was already methylated. Now the other 4 OH groups will get methylated. The base will help in the removal of hydrogen. The base will help in the removal of hydrogen, and this O minus will knock out X minus like you have in nucleophilic substitution. And this is how the pentamethyl derivative will look like. This is how the pentamethyl derivative will look like. The pentamethyl derivative will look like. The pentamethyl derivative will look like the following. It will look like, this was CH3 in the very first place. This was CH3 in the very first place, an acetal. Now this OH would become OCH3. This OH will become OCH3. This CH2OH will become CH2OCH3. So naturally, now with this becoming OCH3, this becoming OCH3, dimethyl sulfate, I want to write it in this way. This is carbon 5, 1, 2, 3. Oh, I'm sorry, I just did a small mistake drawing it. I'm sorry, it happens at times. So, I'll want to be more careful now. I'll want to draw it in this manner. So, this was already methylated. Now at carbon 2, it will become OCH3. At carbon 3, it will become OCH3. At carbon 4, it will become OCH3. And carbon 5, this will become CH2OCH3. Excuse me for a little mess up which I did. Carbon 1, carbon 2, carbon 3, carbon 4, carbon 5 and carbon 6. And now there are 4 more methoxy groups, 1, 2, 3 and 4. There are 4 more methoxy groups, eventually 5 methoxy groups. You can call it exhaustive methylation. You can call it exhaustive methylation. This is put to exhaustive methylation. And because there are 5 methoxy groups, it's called a pentamethyl derivative. It's called a pentamethyl derivative. Now when this pentamethyl derivative is hydrolyzed, I repeat, it was an acetal in the very first place. These are ethers. This is an acetal. These are ethers. This is an acetal. Although on hydrolysis, even ethers break. We all know ethers could be hydrolyzed to mixture of alcohols. Although ethers also get hydrolyzed, ether gets hydrolyzed, between an ether and an acetal, I told you there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 methoxy groups. But the difference is these are ethers and this is an acetal. It's an acetal. Acetal was stable in basic medium, is very fragile in acidic medium. Acetal was stable in basic medium, it's very fragile in acidic medium. So even under slight acidic conditions, acetal breaks down. Even under slight acidic conditions, acetal will get hydrolyzed, whereas ether will require a little more acidic conditions. Generally, ethers require acidic conditions by HCl, HBr, HI, strong acid, whereas even in slightly acidic condition, the acetal will get hydrolyzed. And if only the acetal gets hydrolyzed, the rest are not hydrolyzed. Remember, this is how this OH is OCH3 now. This OH is OCH3 now. This OH is OCH3 now if the ethers are not affected. And naturally, this carbon 5 was not methylated. This carbon 5 OH was not methylated. It was not an ester. It was an acetal. So at carbon 5, you will find a free OH. You will find a free OH. At carbon 5, you will find a free OH. This will remain CH2 OCH3. So you will have OCH3 at the rest of the carbon atoms. You will have OCH3 at the rest of the carbon atoms. Only at carbon 5, when you hydrolyze the pentamethyl derivative, only at carbon 5 you will find free OH, which means that carbon 5 was never methylated during exhaustive methylation. And carbon 5 was not methylated during exhaustive methylation. Carbon 5 was not methylated during exhaustive methylation because carbon 5 did not have a free OH here. The rest had free OH. And carbon 5 did not have a free OH. Carbon 5 did not have a free OH because this OH was used in the ring formation. So, you'll just want to spend a little more time over it. This right away forms a hemiacetal, which is converted to an acetal. So, while forming the ring, carbon 5 lost its OH, the rest had their OH, and when it was methylated to ether, the rest OH got methylated to ethers, methoxy ethers. Carbon 5 was not methylated because it was a part of an acetal and a part of a hemiacetal before that. Now, when you hydrolyze it in a controlled manner, that ethers do not get hydrolyzed, only the acetal is hydrolyzed. Now, because 5 is a part of an acetal, you will have OH here. The rest will have their OCH3. So, I think I have been able to narrate this story all right. I have been able to convey the fact that the rest bearing OCH3 means the rest are ethers and were methylated after the ring was formed. And carbon 5 was not methylated because it was already without OH, because that OH was used in the ring formation. So naturally, this carbon 5 having OH free will mean it was using its OH to form the ring, and with this using the OH to form the ring, we can prove this 6-membered nature or the pyranose form of glucose. What you want to recall is, because I am not going to do it every time, I am not going to do it for big disaccharides every time. Plus, I do not want you to recall too many derivative names as well. So, what you will want to recall is, every time the hydrolysis of pentamethyl derivative will prove the size of the ring, This is what you will want to remember. And by this it can be proved, or it had been proved before X-ray analysis, that glucose had a 6-membered ring, using this carbon 5 wala OH to form the ring, and naturally fructose has a 5-membered ring. Now, because again you do it for fructose and you will again find OH free at carbon 5, and naturally that interacting with the ketonic group at carbon 2 must be giving you a 5-membered ring only. Now, we can talk in details about the structure of the disaccharide, which is sucrose. To deduce the structure of disaccharides, we'll naturally need a few informations. For sucrose, which is the most common disaccharides, the informations are the following. First of all, sucrose, I'll want to use the entire frame. So maybe, I'll want to rub the familiar structure of glucose as well. We don't need to keep it in the frame. And as I did tell you, sucrose as a disaccharide, C12H22O11 on hydrolysis producing 1 mole of glucose, 1 mole of D plus glucose, C6H12O6 plus 1 mole of fructose, again C6H12O6, which is D minus fructose, D minus fructose. Inversion because that is more levorotatory and all. This with water gives you glucose and fructose, and it naturally means that these two monosaccharides must have come together, lost water and formed sucrose. Naturally, initially a monosaccharide is formed. In nature, and two monosaccharides, would rather club together, lose water, and this is how sucrose must have been formed. So this is information 1, giving D plus glucose and D minus fructose, and we'll want to begin from this point that naturally D plus glucose and D minus fructose coming together, losing water because of so many OH groups, would have resulted in the structure of or the formation of sucrose. Very, very important, sucrose is a non-reducing sugar. It's a non-reducing sugar. Sucrose is a non-reducing sugar, means no test with Tollens reagent, Fehling solution or Benedict solution. Absolutely non-reducing. It forms no osazone, and there is no mutarotation, Now, all these 3 points, 2, 3 and 4, all the 3 points, 2, 3 and 4, they indicate only one fact which I had spoken about in the last class. To act as a reducing sugar, to have a free CHO to give these tests positive, to give an osazone with phenylhydrazine, and naturally the act of opening up was the property of hemiacetal, not of acetal. For any of these to happen, you want a hemiacetal. And if none of these happen, in sucrose there is no hemiacetal. Finally, when it comes to the enzyme, and enzymes are biocatalysts, absolutely specific biocatalysts. The enzymes used would be the enzymes used for the hydrolysis of sucrose. Enzymes are biocatalysts and are absolutely specific in nature. The enzymes used are alpha glucosidase and beta fructosidase. I told you, enzymes are absolutely specific. अल्फा ग्लूकोसाइडेज काम कर रहा है मतलब बीटा ग्लूकोसाइडेज काम नहीं करेगा, बीटा फ्रुक्टोसाइडेज काम कर रहा है मतलब अल्फा फ्रुक्टोसाइडेज काम नहीं करेगा. You know, I'm going to quickly tell you about a few more things, but before everything, these are some noteworthy points which you'll want to note. For a sugar to behave reducing, have free CHO to give these tests, react with phenylhydrazine, form an osazone, and the act of opening up, to exhibit mutarotation, will all need a hemiacetal. If none of this happens, this means there is no hemiacetal, and with two monosaccharides, glucose and fructose, in their hemiacetal form, forming a disaccharide sucrose, and for both of them to lose their hemiacetal, there is only one possibility. Maybe, I'll quickly draw glucose. Say I'm drawing the alpha form only, anomeric at carbonyl, alpha form only because I'll be using the alpha form. I'm quickly drawing fructose, carbon 2, and because I wanted beta, CH2OH up, I'll want this OH up. This is CH2OH, carbon 2, anomeric, carbon 3, OH up, carbon 4, OH down, carbon 5 and carbon 6. So deliberately I'm drawing the alpha form, and alpha because it's up and it's down, and the beta form because I'll be using these two forms. Any of the two OH, the two come together, lose water and form sucrose. And out of so many OH groups, both glucose and fructose, in both glucose and fructose, I'll have to choose the OH at carbon 1 for glucose and the OH at carbon 2 for fructose, because that is the only way it will lose its hemiacetal and it will also lose its hemiacetal. I repeat, other than C1 of glucose, other than C1 of glucose and C2 of sucrose, other than C1 of glucose and C2 of fructose, other than C1 of glucose and C2 of fructose, if I choose any other pair of OH, please be attentive. I'll naturally want to bring 2 OH, remove water and get sucrose. But because sucrose is absolutely non-reducing, I'll have to take or use carbon 1 OH of glucose and carbon 2 OH of fructose, because that's the only way I can kill both the hemiacetal and get both the acetal. If other than C1 glucose and C2 fructose, I choose any pair of OH other than C1 of glucose and C2 of fructose, I'll either have a hemiacetal left here or a hemiacetal left there. It's a hemiacetal, OROH, OROH. So naturally, I'll have to club this carbon 1 OH and carbon 2 OH so that both the hemiacetal are destroyed, both become acetal, and there is no hemiacetal group left. I repeat, instead of C1 of glucose and C2 of fructose, if I take any other pair, I'll naturally have either hemiacetal left here or hemiacetal left there. If that is the case, if that happened, it would have been reducing and forming oxazone and exhibiting beta rotation. That doesn't happen. So under the circumstances, I'll want to draw sucrose. I'll give you a bigger view. I'll want to draw sucrose using carbon 1 of glucose and carbon 2 of fructose. Using carbon 1 of glucose and carbon 2 of fructose, carbon 1 of glucose, carbon 1 of glucose, and I'll want it to be below because this is above. That way this will be above and below alpha glucosidic. That way it will be alpha glucosidic. At carbon 2 it will be OH below, at carbon 3 it will be OH above, at carbon 4 it will be OH below. The rest will be routine. The rest will be routine. This above, this below, because it's an alpha glucosidic bond. Alpha glucosidic bond. And then I'll need to attach it to carbon 2. I'll need to attach it to carbon 2 of fructose. So naturally, if I draw it this way, then this might be carbon 1. This might be carbon 1. And what I need to keep in mind is, at this anomeric carbon, because I want to make it beta fructosidic, because I have to make it beta fructosidic. Please listen very carefully. Please listen very carefully, because I need to make it beta fructosidic. Because I need to make it beta fructosidic. If this is carbon 2, at carbon 5, at carbon 5, at carbon 5, because I need to be beta, if this is below, I'll have to bring a change. I've always been drawing CH2OH up. Now I'll want to draw CH2OH down. Because that is the only way I can have these two syn. I can have these two syn. I can have these two syn. And when I make the CH2OH down, the respective configurations at 3 and 4 will also change. Instead of up, this OH will be down. And instead of down, this OH will be up. So this is how I'll complete 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. The 5-membered ring form of fructose. Naturally, I had to bring some change. Generally, the fructose which we see is a fructose of this kind, where if I keep the CH2OH up, in the beta form, I have at carbon 2 OH up, CH2OH, carbon 3 OH up, carbon 4 OH down. This is the way I generally write it. But now, because I have to bring carbon 2 here, I have to bring this carbon 2 here, and at the same time, this below, this needs to be below, this below, this needs to be below. For these to be in sync, because at carbon 2, this is below, this carbon 6 CH2OH should be down. Now, the moment the CH2OH is down, this CH2OH and this OH will have the same configuration. So 3 will get inverted, 4 will get inverted. You apply a little bit of yourself, and you will want to, understand this fact. We are doing it the harder way. We are doing it the harder way means from the properties we are deriving the structure. We are doing the harder way because from the properties we are deriving the structure. In the real exam, in the real question, we'll have to do simpler things. I repeat, we are doing it the harder way. From the properties we are deriving the structure. Naturally, I had to kill the hemiacetal here, kill the hemiacetal here. Now this is OR, this is OR, this is OR, this is OR. इसका भी हेमियासिटल खत्म हो गया, इसका भी हेमियासिटल खत्म हो गया, दोनों का एसिटल है. बिकॉज कहीं पर भी हेमियासिटल बच जाता तो वो रिड्यूसिंग शुगर हो जाता. तो दोनों का हेमियासिटल को खत्म करने के लिए मेरे को दोनों का एनोमरिक कार्बन यूज करना पड़ा. This is simpler, alpha because that's above and this is below. This requires a little bit of understanding that if I have drawn it down, I'll have to revert all the positions. Just in case you do not want all this to be reverted, because the structure can be given in any manner. In case it's given in this manner, this is a little symmetrical. This is below, this is above, and first of all, this is OR. So both are acetal, hemiacetal is killed at both places. We needed to mix OH at the anomeric carbon of both glucose and fructose for both hemiacetal to be gone. This above, this below is alpha, this below, that below, because carbon 6 CH2OH is the benchmark. This is alpha, this is beta. From the structure, you will have to identify the properties, which is an easier job. To draw the structure from the properties, we learnt it the harder way. What I can also do is, for this to remain beta fructosidic, I can draw it in another manner. Just in case you want that CH2OH down. Although I do not prefer doing this, this time because it's up. And for this to be beta fructosidic, you will want to draw the CH2OH up the way you have been doing. And then, if this is carbon 5, carbon 6, carbon 4, carbon 3, this OH can be kept up and this OH can be kept down the way you are used to. So, again for carbon 6, this OH up and this O above. I'm sorry, the CH2OH will come down then. This will be carbon 1, carbon 2, carbon 3, carbon 4, carbon 5. So, you can keep this up, that up. In that case also, it is beta, this up, this down, it's alpha. But I was happy at drawing it in the, the way I drew it before. In any case, you will want to identify above, below, alpha, above, beta. Alpha glucosidase, beta fructosidase will confirm it's an alpha glucosidic bond here and beta fructosidic bond here. So this is about the structure of sucrose. We'll want to move to some simpler structures. The next one is maltose. In the real exam, you must be given the structure and you have to identify the properties. You have to identify glycosidic bonds. Alpha or beta, and I genuinely believe with this understood, that must be an easier job. So the next one I can take is maltose, which is again C12H22O11, C12H22O11, giving glucose plus glucose, 2 moles of glucose, identical monosaccharides. So naturally 2 moles of glucose would have lost water to form maltose. It's a disaccharide, and then it is a reducing sugar, but it forms a monophenylosazone. Monophenylosazone means out of the two rings, it can exhibit mutarotation. Out of the two rings, you have only one hemiacetal. So the other one must be using its anomeric carbon. Reducing sugar means it's giving positive test with tollens, benedicts, phelins. Osazone formation, mutarotation means one of the rings is in the hemiacetal form, and it can be proved that it is a C1C4 linkage. Again, this can be proved using the pentamethyl derivative, and the enzyme here is alpha glucosidase. So we'll want to use this alpha linkage for the carbon 1 of the non-reducing part, which is going to look like this. So this is alpha because this is above and this is below. With a little practice, you will be very good at it. So this is OR and it's going to be OR, but you will want to mix it to carbon 4. And this would be the reducing form. This will be the reducing form. So this is carbon 2, carbon 3, carbon 4. So these two OH, and this is OH, carbon 1, carbon 2, carbon 3, carbon 4. You will want to keep this curvilinear. This is a mistake. It's a mistake in most of the textbooks. They make it either alpha or beta, but realize that is the ring which is opening up. This is losing its hemiacetal. This has become an acetal. And carbon 1 OH has reacted with carbon 4 OH. So this is OR. This is OR. This is OR. This is an acetal. But that is OROH. This is the one responsible for Tollens test. This is the one responsible for mutarotation. And when you know that is undergoing mutarotation, why keep it alpha or beta? That is a simple mistake in most of the textbooks. You will want to be specific about this above, this below. So that is why it's alpha glucosidic. But this much, and you can keep that curvilinear. You should keep that curvilinear. Even in NCERT, I have seen, they have deliberately made it up or down, but that does not matter. That should be kept curvilinear. You have that intellect. That is the one which is opening up, giving free CHO, responsible for the reducing sugar, oxazone. So because that's opening up and undergoing mutarotation, it will be a mixture of alpha and beta at that end. Right after maltose, we can take up another sugar which is very similar to maltose. In all respects. It's called cellubiose. Same formulae, same products, reducing monophenylosazone, undergoes mutarotation, C1C4 linkage. The only difference is here it's requiring beta glucosidase. Cellulobiose will require beta glucosidase. Monophenylosazone, so one hemiacetal, one acetal. Beta glucosidase, C1C4 linkage, same kind of linkage. Beta glucosidase means I'll just need to make one difference, and that difference will be I'll make this bond up. Now when I make this bond up, OR, because this is up and this is up, these two are syn, this is the beta glucosidic bond. And I'll then attach it to carbon 4. Draw the rest of the ring. I'll attach it to carbon 4. Draw the rest of the ring. This again should be kept curvilinear because this is the one which is opening up. Carbon 2 OH down, carbon 3 OH up. This is CH2OH. And this CH2OH at the other ring, which is the reducing ring, here we do not need to be specific. This can be both alpha and beta because this is the one which is opening up. This is the one which is giving free CHO. This two above, which means this is the beta glucose which interacted in the form of the non-reducing sugar. This is beta glucosidic. So once you get a hang of it, drawing structures would be fun. And I told you in the real exams, they'll give you the structure and they'll want you to identify the nature of the bonds and the properties. So this is reducing because this is OR, but that means OROH, that is hemiacetal, that can open up. And the last sugar I'll want to take up in this particular video is the very popular lactose. Again with the same formula, C12H22O11. This time the only difference is it will give you 1 mole of glucose and 1 mole of galactose. It will give you 1 mole of glucose and 1 mole of galactose, which means 1 mole of galactose and 1 mole of glucose would lose water to give you a mole of lactose. It's also a reducing sugar, monophenylosazone, mutarotation, C1, C4 linkage. But two things, one this is beta, and this is not glucosidase, this is galactosidase. Now when this is galactosidase, this means the non-reducing acetyl forming one, when it is not glucosidic, when it is galactosidic, when the enzyme is beta galactosidase, not glucosidase, when it is galactosidic bond, this means this is galactose, that is glucose, that is the reducing form of the sugar, that is the reducing form of the disaccharide, that opens up, gives you CHO, reducing nature, monophenylosazone. And if you recall, in our first or the second class, where I gave the family tree, I told you glucose and galactose are C4 epimers. You go back to the structures, the family of D sugars. So for this to become galactose instead of glucose, I just need to make this OH up. When I make this OH up, when I make the rest are obviously hydrogen. Instead of down, if I make this OH up, this ring becomes a galactose ring. This is the non-reducing OR acetyl form, and this is the beta galactosidic, because this is above, that is also above. That is the hemiacetal OR-OH bearing ring, the reducing ring, which is responsible for its reducing behavior, tolerance test, mutarotation, and osazone formation. So this much in this video, I think talking about polysaccharides will be like too much for one particular class. This much in this video. I hope you're going to enjoy learning the structures of disaccharides, and you'll be able to crack all the questions with a lot of ease. Thank you so much.